things, silly lots of things. Well, shall I go eat mortals? Which one of you left your scrying device out here? Hello, Rowan he is, Brownie the Spring Court. Good to see you out here. He's just making his way back to Canterbury, thinking about stopping on his way to Castleton. Perhaps you've seen Her Majesty, the Queen. She's been telling stories. Do you like stories? Rowan's not so good at telling them himself. His sister's better at that. That's probably where she is right now, sitting in some sewing circle, telling stories, learning stories, or sewing a child to a tree, depending on her mood. Don't let her know. He loves it when she comes back. She tells him stories because she thinks he's cranky that she was gone. But he really likes hearing the stories. Would you like to hear one? This is one about, we call it about the humpbacked man. We lived it. There was a thriving city, not as big as Canterbury, mind you. However, it was a big city. And outside there were little villages and little cottages, and there was an older man with a humped back. And he would always travel into the city to sell his wares and fruits and foods that he grows, and travel all the way back home. It's about a day's journey. One day, he made his way into the city like he always does. And he had a lot of things to sell because it was a very bountiful harvest. So on his way home, he was weighed down with so much money and things that he grew tired. Now, one thing Rowan didn't mention, on his way back and forth, he always passed a singular tree standing on a very small hill, or a hillock, a mound of ground. Now, he stopped at that tree that night because he was too tired, and it was getting very, very late, and he knew his wife would worry, but he knew he would be safe there. So he settled on the ground and closed his eyes and fell asleep. He awoke later that night. The moon was high, and he saw creatures dancing around that hill. The tree wasn't there either. Rowan has a job to do. He can't stand still all day. So he listened at that party. The creatures were dancing and singing, and it moved him. It moved him to great heights. So he reached into his pouch where he kept a little old wooden flute that he had had since he was a child, and he began to play. But he didn't play for himself, he played to the tune. And he heard the music change, but it wasn't discordant. It grew louder, it pulled him in, and he continued to play. And the moonlight somehow seemed to shift and light him up. Lady Selenite seemed very interested in him. So he played all night long on that and listened to all the music and revelry, and when he woke the next morning, he thought it was just the strangest dream. However, he felt lighter, much lighter than he had in decades. His hump had been removed. Gladly, he came running home with more energy than he ever had, told his wife suddenly that look what they had done for him. They removed his hump. He was healthy once again. Well, his wife was part of a sewing circle in that same village. And she decided she was going to tell this story because it was amazing. This doesn't happen to humans every day, now does it? Well, in that sewing circle was the mayor's mother. She was a very pompous woman, as was her son. Very entitled, very decided they were better than everyone else. Her son was a bit disfigured as well. So what did she do? She went and told her son to find this hill with this singular tree, and to go there and wait till nighttime. And if he's there at nighttime, they will fix him. You probably know where this story is going, but Rowan's going to finish it anyway. Now, this disfigured, rich little brat decided that she was right. So he made his way out of town, and he made his way to that hill. He found that hill and that singular Rowan tree. Well, Rowan was tired. He was dusting. And he waited till nightfall. He never closed his eyes, he never fell asleep. But sure enough, as soon as the moon crested the hill, what do you think happened? Well, music started playing, of course. And as that music started playing, he started singing his own music to it. What he wanted them to do, that he needed things done, he needed to be fixed. But the music stopped. It paused. and he took this as a sign that they had heard him. The music began again. We do like our parties. And so he sang again, against the music, what he needed, what he wanted, what we should do to him. The music stopped. The revelry paused. And then it continued once more, getting brasher with every moment, knowing that we were hearing him. He decided once again that he would sing, but as he opened his mouth, he found himself very tired, suddenly more tired than he ever was in his life, and he fell asleep. Now, the next morning came and went. The next afternoon came and went. Well, the sun was starting to set, and that arrogant mother was getting very worried about her son. So she went out with a few town guards to find him. They found him all right, by that hillock, by that tree, but instead of the one hump that he had and the disfigurements that he had, they had given him the other man's hump. He was so heavy now with those two humps, so hunched over, he'll get over as you can't even see, so hunched over, he couldn't move. So, what do you think happened after that? They took him home and hid him for the rest of his life. Moral of the story, never demand anything from the Fae. We'll give you exactly what you deserve. But anyway, it's nice to see you here along the path. Quick question for most of you mortals. As you can tell, this is the path. The path between mortal and fairy worlds. Now, he's not sure how humans would even perceive this, because he knows some of you have crossed it, but he knows none of you have known that you've crossed it. So let him know what you see. He's curious. He sees a nice tunnel full of life, but he's curious about you. Speaking of life, one last thing for you. He's heard things are going very, very miserably for most of you mortals right now, and he knows that must be very hard. But Rowan's been alive for a very long time. He's seen things come and go, and he knows time can get hard. However, if you take a look, even in the harshest winter, life will out. So keep on the bright side, take care of yourselves, and he'll see you this season. Schlan!